Two independent data sets, two completely different methodologies. One conclusion nobody in the media seems to want to say out loud. OpenAI is losing, not in one place, but in two places at once. The businesses paying the most for AI are quietly switching, and the consumers who made ChatGPT a household name are drifting away. The company that started this revolution may be watching it slip through its fingers, and the silence around it is deafening. To understand why this matters, you need a quick picture of how the AI market actually works. There are two battlegrounds that determine long-term dominance. The enterprise market, large companies paying real money to automate real workflows, and the consumer market, hundreds of millions of people choosing which AI assistant they use every single day. For 2 years, OpenAI owned both. ChatGPT launched the consumer AI era in late 2022. Its API became the backbone of thousands of products. Businesses built on it. Developers trusted it. It had no serious competition, but two datasets, one tracking how businesses spend money, one tracking where people click, now tell a different story. Neither alone would be alarming. Together, they form a pattern that demands attention. Start with the money. Ramp is a corporate finance platform used by over 50,000 US businesses. Every time one of those companies pays for an AI tool, Ramp sees it. Their AI index is a real-time spending map of the American business landscape. In May 2025, roughly 9% of businesses on Ramp were paying for Anthropic. 9%, 1 in 11. By April 2026, or just 12 months later, that number hit 34.4%, 1 in 3. Anthropic didn't just grow, it quadrupled. In that same 12 months, OpenAI's adoption barely moved, gaining just 0.3 percentage points across the entire year. Then in February 2026 alone, Anthropic surged 4.9 percentage points. Ramp called it the largest single-month gain any AI company had ever recorded in their dataset. 1 month, 4.9 points. That's not organic growth, that's a migration. By April 2026, Anthropic had overtaken OpenAI in business adoption for the first time ever in the Ramp Index. Anthropic at 34.4%, OpenAI down to 32.3%. And it's not just Ramp. Menlo Ventures surveyed 150 technical leaders across startups and large enterprises. In 2023, OpenAI held 50% of enterprise AI workloads. Anthropic had 12%. By mid-2025, OpenAI had fallen to 25%. Anthropic had climbed to 32%. A near-complete inversion in under 2 years. The revenue tells the same story. Anthropic's enterprise customers, the ones writing million-dollar checks, not free-tier users, doubled in roughly 2 months, from 500 to over 1,000. Real money. Real speed. Why are enterprises switching? 3 reasons. First, governance and safety. Regulated industries need AI they can defend in front of a regulator. Claude's approach is auditable. OpenAI's governance controversies and its defense sector contracts made some CIOs uncomfortable enough to start evaluating alternatives. Second, technical fit. Claude handles massive context windows, enough to process entire code bases or contract libraries in a single pass. In enterprise coding specifically, Claude now owns 40 to 54% of use cases. OpenAI sits at 21%. Third, culture. Ramp's own economists put it plainly, Anthropic has become the model that culturally aware people want to use. When new businesses on Ramp's platform run head-to-head evaluations, Anthropic wins 70%, even when OpenAI is cheaper, even when OpenAI benchmarks higher on paper. Now flip to the consumer side. Similarweb tracks web traffic across the entire internet. 12 months ago, ChatGPT commanded 77.6% of all web traffic among major AI chatbots, nearly 8 out of every 10 visits. Today, that number is 53.7%, a 24-point drop in 12 months. That is not a rounding error. That is a structural shift. The biggest winner? Google Gemini, from 7.3% to 26.7% in the same period. More than tripled. In some months, Gemini is now beating ChatGPT in app downloads, 101 million to 65 million in one recent comparison. Google is converting its installed base advantage into actual user numbers. On the enterprise side, Anthropic is eating OpenAI's lunch. On the consumer side, Google is eating OpenAI's lunch. Two independent data sets, two different methodologies, one conclusion. But here's where it gets complicated. There are two very different ways to read this data. The bull case. Enterprise AI adoption is fundamentally sticky. Menlo Ventures found only 11% of teams switched vendors in a given year. If enterprises are breaking that pattern in numbers this large, this fast, the reasons run deep. By the time OpenAI stabilizes its governance story, Anthropic will have locked in multi-year contracts that are expensive and painful to replace. And on the consumer side, Google's advantage isn't just better AI, it's Android, Search, and Gmail, a distribution machine OpenAI simply cannot replicate. The counterpoint, OpenAI's revenue is still growing rapidly, from $6 billion annualized in 2024 to over $25 billion by early 2026. ChatGPT users also return far more often than Gemini users. ChatGPT's daily to monthly active user ratio is 36%. Gemini's is 21. Gemini wins new visitors. ChatGPT keeps the ones who matter most. Much of OpenAI's real value has migrated into APIs and the Microsoft ecosystem. Infrastructure that Similarweb's web traffic metric doesn't capture at all. The real question isn't, is OpenAI losing? It's which metric actually predicts the future. Where new users go, or how often existing users return. Here's the bigger frame. The AI industry is mid-phase transition. The years 2022 through early 2024 were the single front door phase. Nearly everyone typed chat.openai.com, and that was AI. That phase is over. We are now in the embedded AI phase. Assistants live inside search results, inside phones, inside Gmail, inside company intranets. Google built those entry points over 2 decades. Anthropic never tried to win them. It went straight for enterprise APIs instead. OpenAI is now fighting on both fronts simultaneously, without the structural advantages either competitor has. The next 12 months will stress test all three. OpenAI needs to clean up its governance story before Anthropic locks in another wave of contracts. Google needs to convert traffic into deep engagement. Its daily return rate is still lagging. And Anthropic, the fastest growing player right now, was facing its own constraint, reportedly turning away revenue because it lacked the compute capacity to serve everyone who wanted it. That constraint just got a $40 billion answer. Google's latest commitment to Anthropic, the largest single AI investment ever recorded, addresses the compute gap directly. And as of this week, Anthropic's valuation has crossed $950 billion. For the first time, OpenAI is the second most valuable AI company in the world. The company that solves its constraint first doesn't just win the quarter, it wins the decade. Right now, every data point in this episode says that company is Anthropic. If you found this useful, subscribe. New episodes drop every Tuesday. And if you think the mainstream media is missing the real AI story, drop it in the comments. That's genuinely how the next episode gets made.